In this video I'm going to show you how to improve your gameplay, climb the ranked ladder by improving on these two techniques that will help you with your build orders. Hello guys, if you're looking to improve at Age of Empires 2, learn build orders, or you just generally enjoy Age of Empires 2 content, then you're at the right channel. Hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to make sure that you're notified of any new content. So I initially had this idea that I wanted to do a video on top 5 tips that low elo players should learn before they even attempt build orders. Now you can kind of find that information anywhere. So I was going to be talking about unit counters, making sure you're getting your technologies, all that sort of stuff. A lot of you will probably know all that anyway, and you'll probably even hear these 2 points that I'm bringing up before, which is sort out your hotkeys and get your town centre idle time down. Now I'm hoping to do it in a little bit of a different way. I wanted to focus on those 2 parts. So the top 5 idea is gone. I'm just going to focus on hotkeys and town centre idle time, because those are the 2 main important things that will help you climb the ranked ladder if you can get the practice in and get used to doing it. So rather than just telling you what to do, I'm going to do a demonstration and hopefully relate back to what I did when I started to learn them and how I've developed. Now I'm certainly not a pro, but I'm about 1300 elo, so sort of mid-level player. But this is sort of what you can do to get to that same level as me and beyond, through practice. So we'll dive right in. We're going to have a look at hotkeys first, and then we're going to take what we've learned from the hotkeys and we're going to put that into practice with regards to town centre idle time. One last thing before we jump into it, it's just worth me mentioning that we do have a Discord server. You can find a link to the Discord server and the link to all of the build order tutorials in the description below. It'd be good to have you there in the Discord. It's a place where we can talk about Age of Empires 2, talk about build orders. You can submit games to feature on the channel and so on and so on. So yeah, check it out. Okay guys, so we're now going to have a look at hotkeys, and I'm going to try and show you how I do it. This bit is sort of live recording, if you like. It won't be edited. Rest of it's edited, so if I do say or whatever quite a few sort of times, then that's why, because I'm not editing this section. So I'll try and show you what I do. So we'll have a look at the hotkeys that I have. Now I've set my own hotkeys up, and I very recommend that you do the same, just because you'll kind of get to know what you're doing with them. So I've changed them a little bit. Now for example, archery range, barracks, blacksmith, all of these, well, most of these, the ones that I actually use, I don't think I've done anything with Victoria or some of the other ones, but they're generally where they appear on the build list, where the icons are on the actual build list. So I shall show you. This makes sense. It'll make sense in a minute. So what I actually use are the ASDF G, possibly, buttons, and Q, W, E, or T, Y, or T. We'll have a look. Basically, if we go into the build menu, so I don't use that quite so many, but yeah, Q, W, E. So if you look at your keyboard, the top row here are the top row of the keyboard, so Q, W, E. So I can kind of look at this and know which buttons I have to press without necessarily knowing. I just know, right, okay, I need top right, top middle, top left, top right, and top middle. Next row down I need, A for the outpost, S for the wall, D for the stone wall, F for the tower. So again, that's kind of following the keyboard. And then again, Z and X for the gates. And again, on the main sort of eco buildings, pretty much the same thing. So Q, W, E, R, T, Y, no Y, and A, S, D, F, G, and then same again down here would be Z, X, and C So looking at this, you basically know which buttons you need to press. Now the way I've done it is I have A to go to the main build, like the eco buildings, and S to go for the military buildings. So most of everything I do is with A, S, D and F. They're my keys. So anything that's important I will have generally along those areas. A, S, D and F. Now my hotkey to go to the town centre is D, and create a villager is S. Sorry, A. I've not actually put anything for S for some reason, but I think that's because I'm effectively sitting here with my 3 main fingers, the 3 middle fingers of my hand on A, S and D. So the one next to my thumb is on D, middle one's on S and the other one's on A. So it's kind of like the D and the A are doing the work, the middle is not really doing anything. So for me, it's just comfortable doing it that way. So if I just show you now, if I just flick between, let's cancel these. If I just flick between A and D, like so, it's literally just click, 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 click. So quite quick in that respect. So those are the main ones that I use, and again, as you can see across here, these are all in line with that ASD sort of layout. So again, as I'm looking at things, I can basically just see what I'm doing by looking at the positions on there. So S to go on military buildings, Q to go on to barracks. So if I do, I'll show you with this villager, I'm going to do barracks, archery range and stable. Okay, so that's all of those 3 placed, and that's just by using the hotkeys, and because I know where the placements are on the keyboard in line with the icon. Okay, so what I've got now is, and you'll see the pros doing this a lot and making an army by doing this, flicking around the production building. Sorry if that made anyone feel dizzy, but basically what I'm doing there is just holding down the control button and then pressing Z. So how I've got it set up at the minute is controlling Z, controlling X to go through stables, and controlling C to go through barracks. Now, if I'm going to be honest, I don't do it that way when I make him military, because for me it's very clunky to use a control button and a hotkey to go through something and cycle and create a villager or a military unit at the same time. That's as fast as I can do it, and it's purely because of having to control the hotkey. Now what I could do, and it's probably going to be easier if I do it this way, I'm going to have a look at the hotkeys and I'm going to change it. So if we look at where is it, go to barracks and go to archery range. Now what I'm going to do is perhaps change that one to I. Change barracks to O, and change stable to P. Okay, so this should work. If I scroll through archery ranges, I can now just go I, A, like that. So as you can see, it's loads better without having the little control button getting in the way. And so if I do the same with the barracks, there you go, we've got loads of them queued up now. I mean, there's nothing to say you can't just do that. Press shift and hold shift and then just tap A few times. Because every time you do that, it will add 5 onto the queue. If you didn't know, I'm sure you did. But and then finally P. We'll do that. So P and A is what I was doing there. So as you can see, A. I mean, that's that's kind of not in line with what I was saying about the building, the positions on the keyboard, and that's purely because, as I mentioned earlier, I use ASD as my main one. So any when it actually comes to units, I use the AS and FD keys, whereas Definitive Edition will have it set up as QS, QWE R across here, and then your research text will be ASDF. Now, as I say, because I purely want my hotkeys to be focused on the ASDF buttons, that's why I changed it. So the actual build menu ones are in line with bog standard Definitive Edition hotkeys. I think it's been that long since I used the proper ones, I can't quite remember what changes I've actually made, but I think I did just swap all of these over because it was easier for me than what I do. So as you can see, let's say we want to make a couple of barracks and an archery range, or a couple of ranges as quickly as that, really, using hotkeys. So in terms of the villages, I mean, I've already demonstrated how I do the villages. Just DA, DA, DA. Oh, sorry, DAAA or DA. So let's say I'm off here doing something. Just quickly go back, and like so. Now, every time a villager comes out, you want to be doing that. So if we think of reducing idle time, I will show you with a fresh start, actually, I think, for that. Okay guys, so basically what I'm going to be doing on this scenario is just showing you how to use your hotkeys to keep your town centre going at all times. So you've probably heard thousands of times that people are saying get your hotkeys and you know, make sure you've not got town centre idle time, but they don't necessarily tell you how they do it or how it works. So I want to explain to you how I use AS and D as my main keys for hotkeys. So certainly in this situation I've got D. If I'm not selecting anything, D will go to my town centre and A will create a villager. Okay, so it's just literally DA. I mean, it's not shown on XMON ports, but basically the purpose of this, I'm not going to do anything fancy, I'm not going to do any build orders, I'm just going to make villagers whilst I've got these full sheep. Okay, and this is one of the things I did when I was first learning how to keep the town centre going. Okay, we'll press on pause. So we have filled the queue up from that sort of messing about I was doing before, but that's absolutely fine. So it's literally just a case of waiting and seeing when you've got 50 food in the bank, or you hear the villager creation noise, essentially. So we're at 30 at the minute, we're going to get 50 very, very shortly. There's 40, and there's 50. So again, we've got one just about to finish, we've still got one queued up, which is good, and sooner or later we will have some more food dropped off. So it's just keeping a little eye on your resources at the top there. Like so. And again we had 50 food there, so just DNA again. And that's essentially all you need to do. I suppose I'm making it sound easier than it is. It's always worth just double checking every time you hear the villager creation sound as well. So I did do that, but it didn't actually do anything, but you never know. I think in the fast pace of the game, later on, once you hear that villager noise, it's always best to just do it and see what happens. But as you can see, I've not really had any town centre idle time at this point. And this is just purely through using the hotkeys and keeping an eye on my resources. Not actually doing anything special with build orders, so don't chastise me for using straggler trees and stuff like that. It's literally just to show you how you can listen to the town centre and keep an eye on your resources, like so. Now it would be better if I had a little camera showing my fingers, I suppose, so you could see what I was doing, but it is literally a case of just pressing A and D whenever you see you've got 50 food. As long as you can always collecting off one sheep under your town centre or whatever, certainly in the early game, just collect from one sheep and it's actually under your town centre, you won't have any issues. If you've collected a sheep and it's around here, or you're collecting from 2 different sheep, you will find you'll get issues. It will sort of you may have to manually click and drop the food off and drop it back off again, start collecting again, just because there's walking time there, whereas here they're literally just going to keep dropping the food off, so you'll end up getting the food in your bank in enough time for the to be able to do the next villager. Whereas over time, if they've still got all that walking distance, it's going to slow them down, so then you're not going to be able to keep up with the food sort of gathering and the villager rates production. So actual placement of where your sheep are or your boar and what have you will have a big effect, so do bear that in mind. But that's essentially it. That's how to keep your town centre going. If you have town centre idle time throughout a game, you know, you could be doing a 21 population scout rush build order, but you know, and you might nail it, you might get the build order absolutely perfect, but you've had quite a lot of idle time on your town centre. Let's say you've had 2 minutes idle time. Now, a player who doesn't know build orders but has got very little idle time will generally be able to beat you still. Their economy might not be as efficient in terms of, you know, it's a bit unbalanced, but they'll have more villagers collecting than you have, meaning they'll have a bigger economy, meaning they can essentially just outproduce you. So yeah, idle time is important. Hopefully this has helped sort of as a bit of a demonstration as to how to do it, and yeah, just let me know in the comments what you think. Hopefully it's helped. But that's it from this one. Thank you very much, guys. I'll see you on the next one.